Hey, welcome everyone. This is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com. This is going to be your Let's Get Ready for the week ahead, April 22nd through April 26th. So Friday, the markets, the Dow Jones 30 was up 110 points. The transports were up 53 points, powered by the railroads. The Nasdaq were up 2 points. S&P 500 plus 5 for Friday trading. The markets continued to rally on Friday. There's no worry about interest rate increases. They're on hold. No fears of an immediate recession. That has faded. Tariff negotiations between the U.S. and China seem to be proceeding well. Market levels are approaching previous highs. We are in the midst of earnings season coming out. We have a big week for earnings coming out. We had the Mueller probe come out. Um, 3 out of the 4 days, though, the market opened higher, ramped into the open, and then a fade off on the markets. So that's a little troublesome. Let's see, we had a slower, choppier week. But no major pullbacks in the market. We had quite a few IPOs this week. We had Pinterest and Zoom. We had the IWM and the IWC, a little bit of laggard there and a little bit of a pullback. We'll look at those. QQQ at the high, and the SPY basically sideways for the week, as you can see on the daily chart here for the SPY. Let's go ahead and look at some of the sectors this week. The SMH very strong this week, up over 3% on the week. The solar sector right behind it for the week, up about a little under 2%. ROBO, Automated Robotics Index, up 1.5%. And then we had the Qs up a little under 1%. The transports were up about 0.75% for the week. To the downside for this week, we had JNUG, gold down this week, down 14%. Nat gas down 6% for the week. The IBB losing steam this week, down 6%. The MJ, the marijuana ETF, lost almost 3.5% on the week. Software sector got a little bit of a pullback here, down about 3% on the week in the software sector. Hack, the cyber sector, down about 2% for the week. S&P sector performance for the week. The healthcare sector down over 6%. The XHE, the XBI, the biotech, smaller biotechs down about 6% for the week. The healthcare sector dropped 4% for the week. That was mostly UNH in that one. To the plus side, we had the XLI industrials up about 1%. The XLK the XLK, the technology sector, up about 1%. The XHB, the home builders, moving up a little over 1% for the week on the XHB. A couple of areas of concern for the market is the IWM. As you can see, we had pulled back to about the 50 SMA. Dip buyers showed up there. So we're going to be watching that 50 SMA around that 155 area next week on the IWM. As you can see, it seems to be rolling over a little bit. We're underneath the momentum moving averages here, underneath the 5 EMA and the 10 SMA on the IWM. IWC, same thing, not faring as well, has remained below the 200 SMA, kind of has this rollover look to it. They came in and dip bought us on Friday at 92.66, so we'll call it 92.75 area to be watched on the IWC. So that's a little bit of a concern. SMH very strong this week. A lot of that had to do with Qualcomm getting that settlement with Apple, but the SMH, if we look at it on our weekly chart, made all-time highs here and a vertical push up here on the SMH. Very strong though, but a lot of that, like I said, had to do with Qualcomm and the Apple settlement. The IBB was a little bit concerning, and the healthcare sector concerning on political worries here. Bernie Sanders coming out with saying Medicare, healthcare free for all, and so the markets did not like it and are troubled by it. So the IBB, you could see this big move down. We had this kind of resistance here at 115. We've moved down and we're kind of forming a little bit of a hammer. We'll have to see what the next candle does. But the low was down at around 103 on the IBB. XBI, same thing. All these sectors rolling over. The XLV also rolling over. And getting hit. UNH was troublesome this week, down quite a bit. Had earnings, and not even its earnings could, propel it back up. Although Friday it did recover a bit. We got down to this 210 area. We seem to have bounced, so that this is going to be watched. Pfizer also taking a hit. Merck in that sector also taking hits this week. So as you can see in the Dow, we had Merck and Pfizer are your two worst stocks, followed by IBM down almost 3% for the week. That after their earnings came out. To the plus side in the Dow, Intel also very strong in the semiconductor space, up almost 4% for the week. Nike after Tiger winning the Masters, having a good week, up almost 3.5%. Apple strong this week, up 2.5% for Apple. American Express had earnings come out. That stock moving up 2.5% for the week. Over in the S&P 500, as we mentioned, Qualcomm pushing up this week, almost up 40% for the week on Qualcomm this week, and that's the S&P 500. In the Nasdaq, similar. We have Qualcomm up. After that, we have WDC climbing this week, up 6% for the week on WDC. Monster up 4% for the week. Some of your best worst stocks for the week this week. We had Lumber Liquidators up almost 12% for the week. ELF had a very good week. ELF up 11% for the week. Goose moving up this week, almost up 10% for the week. Recovery here in Weight Watchers up a little under 8% for the week. China Solar Name up 7% for the week. To the downside, some of your worst stocks we had were STNE. This stock taking a hit, down 25% for the week. INSP down 19%, IONS down 14%, TNDM getting hit for 13% for the week. Over in the marijuana sector, some of your worst stocks, APHA took a 24% hit this week. PYX also getting hit 12.5% this week. TTPH moving down over 12%. VFF after Citron coming out with negative comments for VFF, moving this one down about 11%. INSY down 8%. Crone moving down almost 7.5%. Tilray down over 7% for the week. If we look to see what was up in the cannabis space and the marijuana ETF, the MJ, we had NEPT moving up 13%. LEVB had a very nice week this week. Hexo having a good week, up 7% on the week. And CGC climbing 5%, followed by STZ, Constellation Brands, up about 4%. In our lower price stocks this week, MBIO came out with news this week, moved that one up 84% for the week. AMRS moving up 75% for the week. PPRO climbing 71% for the week. SSLJ moving up 27%, ICON up 26%, FCSC climbing 26%, MBRX moving up 23%, Boxel having a nice week this week, up 23%, BPTH announcing that they're not going to be going ahead with that offering. They were up 22% for the week. JASN climbing 21% for the week. SNES moving up 20%. SUNW moving up 19%. To the downside this week, we had AKAO taking a hit, down 66%. RBZ moving down over 53%. IMUX, this stock moving down 50%. TNM moving down 43%. TRNX, the old MNGA, dropped 34% this week. YRIV, which was looking good on the daily chart, but dropped this week 27%. CNET coming out with a 26% drop this week, and WVE, this Wave Life Sciences, down 25% for the week. Some big gainers in your IPOs this week. We had QFIN pushing up 42%. JMIA, a recent IPO, this stock moving up 38%. VIOT, Friday got a big move up on this name. Look at this move up on Friday. For the week, ended up 28%. LOGC up 14%. TCRR up 11.62%. Opera, a recent IPO, up 9% for the week. ARVN up 9% for the week. So that's some of your best IPOs for the week. To the downside, in the IPO sector, GHSI down 25%, NIU down 21%, VCNX also dropping about 20%, some of your worst IPOs. Here's our heat map from Friday, courtesy of FinViz here. So Amazon down fractionally, Google up fractionally, Facebook down fractionally, Microsoft very strong on Friday, up over 1.33%. We had some of the banks getting hit on Friday. JP Morgan down a little under 1%. Bank America flat. WFC and Citigroup. Citigroup down a little under 1% on Friday. To the plus side, we had some bounces here in UNH, up 2% on Friday. Apple was up fractionally. Coca-Cola has earnings coming up this week, up a little under 0.5%. Pepsi up fractionally for the week. Home Depot down a little under 0.5%, and Lowe's getting hit here, down almost 3% on Friday on LOW. Disney hanging strong, holding up 0.5% for Friday. That's your heat map courtesy of FinViz. Some news that was moving the markets around, some better than expected numbers here from China data that was moving the markets up. This came out on April 18th. So this, China economic information came out, and the SPY got lifted by that. But like I said, the SPY was getting ramped up in the morning, but it seemed to be fading off in the afternoon. So we're going to have to see if that trend continues this week coming up. Some other news stories that were moving the markets around, and over the weekend, some stories coming out. The Mueller report came out, different headlines being bandied about from that. Not trying to be political on the channel, just pointing out some of the headlines here. So this was moving the markets around a little bit. On Friday, we did get the housing numbers that came out. U.S. housing numbers, they came out Friday at around 8:30, even with the markets closed. U.S. housing starts fall in March to weakest pace since 2017. That coming from Bloomberg. Let's go ahead and look at our fear and greed index. Right now, we're at about 70. This from CNN Business. So let's go ahead and take a look, courtesy of the Trade Exchange, their economic calendar that's coming out for the week ahead. We get existing home sales coming out on Monday on the 22nd. We get more housing numbers coming out Tuesday on the 23rd. For Wednesday, MBA mortgage applications. So this will be closely watched as those housing numbers Friday were not that good. We get the oil numbers coming out on Wednesday also at 10:30. Nat gas will be coming out at 10:30 on Thursday the 25th, all leading up to the GDP number. This will be closely watched on Friday the 26th at 8:30. No Fed speak coming up this week, a break from the Fed speakers, so that's good. We have quite a bit on our plate for earnings coming out. There will be U.S.-Japan trade talks going on this week, so that's pretty much it to watch out for the week ahead as far as economic information. But like we said, a lot of earnings coming out this week. Starting with Halliburton before the open on Monday, HAL symbol there. Whirlpool will be reporting Monday after the bell. Rambus RMBS symbol there for Rambus coming out also on Monday after the bell. And as you can see, Twitter, Verizon, Procter and Gamble, Coca-Cola, JetBlue, United Technologies. HOG, Nucor, all reporting before the bell on Tuesday. After the close on Tuesday, we have Snap, we have iRobot, eBay, Texas Instruments, Ameritrade. Wednesday, before the bell, we have Boeing, AT&T, Caterpillar, Biogen, Domino's Pizza, Facebook. After the close, Microsoft, Tesla, Visa, PayPal, Chipotle, Cliffs reporting. UPS, Altria reporting before the bell on Thursday, 3M, Comcast. After the close, Amazon will be reporting, Intel will be reporting earnings, Grubhub, Starbucks, Cypress Semiconductor. Friday before the bell, two big oil companies, ExxonMobil, Chevron, and American Airlines, all reporting earnings this week. This courtesy from the Earnings Whisperer. We had some unusual options activity on Friday. This courtesy of the trade exchange, RHP, AVYA, MTW, TWI, AMRS, BKS, BDSI, TEUM, all with unusual call activity. To the put side, UNH, HRL, J&J, OPK, STNE, and NWL, all with unusual put activity from Friday's action. This once again courtesy of the trade exchange. Let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY on a weekly chart. As you can see, a little bit of an indecisive candle on the SPY after this huge big vertical move up on the SPY off the 200 off the weekly. We got an indecisive candle here as we're coming up near all-time highs on the SPY. So a little bit of a consolidation week that we had in the SPY. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Qs. Also coming up to all-time highs here on the Qs. So we'll see what the market wants to do here. We have that 187.50 area coming up on the Qs, also bouncing nicely. Earnings obviously are going to be very important next week. We have a ton of earnings coming out for next week. People are concerned about the IBB, the XBI, the action in the healthcare sector here. IWM, let's take a look at that on our weekly chart. Kind of a laggard at the moment, even though having a nice bounce off 125, kind of stalling up here at this 159, 160 area, but holding above the 10 SMA thus far on the weekly chart for the IWM. Holding that area, the 10 SMA on this chart is around 155 area, so that'll be closely watched next week on the IWM. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the bigger names here. So Google having a good week this week, holding above the 10 SMA, coming up to all-time highs. Amazon, which will be reporting earnings coming up this week, has that $1,900 level up ahead. We've been as high as 2,000 and change on Amazon, holding above the 10 SMA. Apple had a good week last week, pushing above recent resistance at that $200 level for Apple. Has a ways to go before it gets up to about that 234 all-time highs for Apple after bouncing off of the weekly 200 SMA on Apple. We'll take a look at Facebook. Facebook kind of in the middle of the range here on Facebook, holding up okay, holding above the 10 SMA in about this middle of the range as we stated, and has about 180 up ahead. That's giving Facebook a little bit of a trouble spot there for Facebook. TSLA, Tesla, holding above this 250 area. For Tesla, trying to get up over the 280 spot on Tesla. Still remains below the 10 SMA on our weekly chart here for TSLA. NVIDIA this week, let's check it out. NVIDIA above the 10 SMA, trying to reclaim 190 and that 195 area for NVIDIA, and has the $200 spot up ahead. Also, the 100 SMA is around that $200 spot for NVIDIA on the weekly chart, NVDA. Qualcomm having a real strong week this week. Look at this thing soaring after that news came out between Apple and Qualcomm. So this really pushed up the SMH. Obviously needs to consolidate a bit before chasing Qualcomm. Intel also had news. They're getting out of the 5G, pushing this one up to new all-time highs here on INTC. A big move there. Microsoft also continues to trend up and climb as it's holding above the 10 SMA and making all-time highs here on Microsoft. So that's some of the bigger names. Just wanted to show you some of the weekly charts for those. We had two IPOs that came out on Friday. ZM came out and so held up okay on ZM, a big move up. They came out at what, $36 was the IPO price, popped almost up to $66 here on ZM, holding above $60.50 in trading on Friday. And then we had Pinterest come out with their IPO on Friday. So right now the low here on PINS is around that $23 area. Got as high on this name up to 25.18 or so, kind of around the middle of the range on PINS. So two IPOs that opened up on Friday. So in closing, I'll just share a scan that I use for building my watch list. That video will be coming out later. So it's a hammer watch list, candlestick hammer, this from FinViz. I put this out on my Twitter feed at ZoZoStockWatch if you'd like to have a copy of it. So I put this out, and so I'll be looking through this for some stocks for a watch list video later. So just to end it here, so the S&P 500 after this big bounce, we're coming back up to those recent highs. That's going to be closely watched. A lot of earnings coming out this week, so that's all these earnings are going to be closely watched. The big names, Microsoft, Tesla, etc. So we'll see what the week is going to bring. Like I showed you, we have that Mueller report that came out, Mueller report, and so we'll see what the reaction to that is going to be on Monday. But right now, you'd have to say we're leaning towards the bulls being in charge. They remain in charge as we remain above the 10 SMA here on the SPX. Like we said, as we're getting up near all-time highs, a little bit of an indecisive candle here. But let's see what this week brings with the earnings and economic information and the GDP coming out on Friday. All right, everybody, this is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com. This is your Let's Get Ready for the Week Ahead. I hope you're more ready for the week ahead than you were before. Happy Easter once again to all friends and family out there. Enjoy the day. We'll be back out with another video later on. The video will be on stocks I'll be watching for Monday and I guess the next couple of days. All right, this is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com. Have a good day trading and a good weekend. See you with the next video.